Okay, I guess we can get started. I'd like to welcome you to the planning board meeting. Would you join in a pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Catherine, you want to call the roll, please?
Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Kashani,
Here.
Mr. Jardina,
Here.
Mr. Kosel,
Here.
Mr. Malta,
Here.
Mrs. Maltman,
Here.
Mr. Gassick,
Here.
Ms. Corsi,
Here.
Mr. Artuso,
Here.
Mr. Chari.
Here.
Okay, I guess we can get started now. We've got a pretty lengthy agenda this evening here, so just bear with us through the evening and we'll get through it, I guess. Why don't we start with the first one? Go ahead, Mark.
Piranha Rents located at 5 Mile Line Road in Lowe's Plaza. The applicant is Patrick Young, who's requesting preliminary plan approval associated with the construction of a 4,600 square foot equipment rental store featuring a 41,700 square foot gravel storage yard enclosed by a chain link security fence on a 7.94 acre lot located in a high-intensity commercial district under Section 269-11, 350-19 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Rafael Barreto with Marathon Engineering. I'm here tonight with the owner of Piranha Rents, Patrick Young. So we appeared before the board last month for sketch plan review, and I think that was fairly well received. If I can just give a brief summary of the project for anyone here who either wasn't present or just to, jog some memories. So this project is located on the Lowe's out parcel. This is on 5 Mile Line Road, just south of the Expressway 104. There is an empty western parcel on that Lowe's project. This was created as an out parcel in 2002 when the development was initially created, and there were several stormwater ponds that were created as a part of that process in order to treat both the Lowe's, the existing parking lot, and any potential new construction that would happen on those out parcels. So we are proposing to build an equipment rental facility. It's going to essentially rent out. This is equipment similar to like either a Bobcat or a small jackhammer. These are not large pieces of equipment. These are equipments to be used for home projects. In addition to the 4,600 square foot building, there's going to be, as mentioned, a 41,000 square foot storage yard. Now, I believe when we first appeared for sketch plan, our initial concept was to use a gravel storage yard. There were some concerns noted about the possibility of stone dust being tracked off-site. When reviewing our project to submit for preliminary, we've made a revision to the plans and showing that as not being a gravel storage yard, but using asphalt millings as the top layer of that storage yard. So that should significantly reduce the risk of any debris being tracked off-site. That's in addition to the layout of the driveway, which we can go into further detail later. Let's see here. The other concern that was brought up during sketch plan review was regards to the fence. We were originally proposing a chain link security fence around the entirety of the storage yard that would be visually, that would use essentially vinyl slats in order to provide a visual buffer to both to 5 Mile Line Road. we've come back and changed the fence along the front face of the building, the face that would be facing the interior private drive. And actually, Erica, if you can show the render, no, the front-facing render. So showing an example of something a little cleaner. This would still be a security fence with a with an automatic gate in order to access for customers to pull up and access any equipment that's being taken from the yard. So customers don't have to enter the yard. They're just going to pull up into the driveway, get their equipment loaded on, and then leave. But that gives it a bit of a friendlier look. Some of the other concerns that were not fully addressed when we were last here is a matter of the wetlands. There was a previous delineation that was performed in 2003. The property was marked for review by the New York State DEC. We have cooperated fully with the DEC in their jurisdictional review. They have determined that all of the ponds that are on the site are not being considered New York State wetlands. They are man-made ponds that were created in 2002, and the owner is responsible for maintaining those and keeping those clean and functional so that they continue to serve the facility. And we provided our JD, our jurisdictional determination to the town. And the last concern was floodplain. There is a creek that runs through this parcel. We are not proposing to touch that creek at all. There's going to be at least, we're going to maintain the full existing vegetative buffer that keeps this project from the creek as it is today. That creek does have a 100-year floodplain associated with it. We are proposing to do there's a small area that will require a couple inches of fill within that floodplain. And we're filling in that floodplain in order to keep the storage yard and the building up above that 100-year flood elevation in order to keep it safe from any potential flood damages. Now, because we are filling in the floodplain, we are proposing to make some compensatory storage. We're going to be expanding those existing stormwater ponds. I believe we are expanding the stormwater ponds about an extra 80 cubic yards of storage compared to what we are filling in the floodplain. So comparing the pre-development to post-development, there will actually be more flood storage within that floodway than there is today. I think that summarizes all of the changes that we've made. If there are any questions that the board has, I'd be happy to answer them. We did receive comments from town staff, and I believe you've been supplied with our response to those questions.
Yeah, you sent us a letter
Yes.
with the responses to PRC comments. And you're able to conform to all of them.
Yes, I believe so.
In regard to what you've brought in for preliminary, commend you on doing a nice job with this.
Thank you.
You came in for sketch plan. We had two things that we added. That was the fence situation and the asphalt. I didn't care for the, gravel in the parking lot because when vehicles would be going out, they'd be leaving, the limestone onto the roadway. I didn't think that was looking too good in that area. I don't think that would have been too well appreciated. And you accommodated, so you're putting down millings?
Yes.
I think that'll serve the purpose. I'm fine with that. The building, you've done a nice job. I like the design of it. Kind of looks like Country Max over there. But it's a good design to me. The fence, you've modified the fencing in the front. You've got that other, instead of just a chain link there, just a little more ornamental. looks good to me. Anybody, any comments or any issues with it? I think they've done what we asked.
I have just a couple comments.
Sure.
So on the utility plan, the meter is, close to the fence line past the bioretention area. Is that area accessible to Monroe County Water Authority in case they ever, or anybody needs to get to that meter?
So this was a discussion that we had with Monroe County Water Authority, that they actually do not want to have the meter near the building because of its proximity to the wet ponds. To summarize that discussion, their concern is that if there is a leak between the tap and the meter, because the area is because the water table is so high, you might just not realize that there's any leaking occurring. Whereas if you put the meter before that crossing, where it crosses near that wet area, you could notice that in your water usage, and that could be noted and repaired. So there was that meter is going to be a little more difficult for them to access, but the Monroe County Water Authority is explicitly requesting that it be placed where it is.
Okay. I guess maybe to address the meter, and my next question, which was the access to the bioretention area. In the back of the yard, is it possible maybe to add a gate, 10 foot or 20 foot? That way you can access the bioretention for maintenance, but also can
I
access
think
the
you could
meter?
absolutely do that, yes.
Okay. I see you've added wrought iron fence detail now to the front. If we can just add that detail to the plans as well, please. Same thing with a wrought iron gate detail. I'm assuming you're using a wrought iron gate. I didn't see a clean out detail. That's a little thing.
Yes, I noticed that in your comment. It'll be added in the next iteration.
Okay. And then closer to the two 26-foot gates that are in the front that are now wrought iron, you have catch or basin 3 and 3.1 that are tied to an existing catch basin.
Yes.
Can you,
Similarly,
okay,
as of today, I've revised to show that full drainage pattern, so you can see how that connects to that connects to an existing catch basin that is in the private drive, which links to a catch basin that is a little bit, I guess we're a little bit to the east in the parking lot, and then that drains to the north pond. So I've expanded the utility plan to better show that entire drainage path.
sounds good. Thank you.
That it? Anybody else, any comments? If not, again, this is a public hearing, so we'll open it. Anyone has any interest or concern, comments in regard to it? Not seeing anyone? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Oh, this is going too easy for this project here. Anybody?
No, thought it was very
You're all
well
right?
done.
Derek?
No.
Peggy, you're all right?
I'm good.
Okay, we can move forward with it then. Drazen, you're suggesting a gate? at
Just in
end
the
there?
back so they can access
Yeah,
the
that makes sense.
bioretention.
That's good,
Yeah.
Okay, so a gate going in there, so we'll put that in there. Okay, want to do a seeker on it, Derek?
Town of Benton Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Patrick Young to construct a 4,600 square foot equipment rental store featuring a 41,700 square foot storage yard enclosed by a chain link fence located on Lowe's Plaza on 5 Mile Line Road on a 7.94 acre parcel having SBL number 079.10-1-2.1 in a high-intensity commercial district. The planning board determined that the proposed action is an unlisted action under Part 617 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The planning board determined that the action is subject to single agency review pursuant to Part 617.6B1 of SEQR, and that it is the most appropriate agency for making determination of significance. The planning board therefore designates itself lead agency for the proposed action. The planning board has given consideration to the criteria determined significance as set forth in section 617.7C1 of seeker and has considered the short environmental assessment form and considered public comments directed to the planning board during concept review and considered direction, or comments directed to the planning board during the public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board hereby determines that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment for the reasons set forth in the attached notice of determination of non-significance. Be it further resolved, the Town of Webster Planning Board is authorized to take all actions reasonable and necessary to file a negative declaration and discharge the Town of Webster Planning Board's responsibility as lead agency for the action. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the information analysis above, the information supporting documentation, and discussions of the action of the Town of Webster Planning Board is documented by the minutes for this meeting, and that the proposed action will not result in a significant environmental impact. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board therefore makes a determination of non-significance. Therefore resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the above, issues a negative declaration as evidence of its determination.
And that's your motion, need a second?
Second.
You have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're good with that. I was gonna mention also your lighting. Down lighting is onto the site, not spilling out
Yes, that's correct.
onto the, okay.
Yep.
And landscape plan, you'll show that, you'll show us your,
Landscape plan,
you got it
we're
right
showing
there?
some
That's-
trees
okay,
along
you got it there,
along
okay.
the private
Yeah,
drive
you got
edge
it,
of the
all right,
parking.
okay. All right, we're good. All right, I guess with that, we can move forward. Dave, you, or somebody, anybody want to make a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for preliminary
Go ahead.
approval for Piranha Rents located 5 Mile Line Road in the Lowe's Plaza.
Excuse me, Dave, just a second. Can you folks in the back, is this coming through? We asked them to turn it up. I don't know if you can hear back there. You can or not?
Can't.
You cannot. Thank you. Can we turn it up or whatever we gotta do? Yep. Or maybe talk louder or chew on the mic, I don't know. You gotta do something. It doesn't make it nice when you're sitting back there and you can't hear. Sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
It's
saw a couple
okay.
of expressions that were like,
What do you say?
yeah. Is this time for a little commercial? Got it? Is that any better? Is
How's
help
that
any?
any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's-
It is better.
So,
Okay, great.
subject to PRC comments, subject to a letter of credit posted with the Town of Webster if applicable, subject to Monroe County Water Authority comments, subject to determination of ZBA for any requested variances if applicable. All improvements shall be constructed according to the specification of the Town of Webster. All roadway construction to be in accordance with the specification and regulations set forth by the Town of Webster. All site work to be in compliance with the standards of the Town of Webster. Comply with all requirements of any state, county, or town agency. Address drainage, lighting, signage, landscaping, buffering, berming, and snow storage. Landscape design. And approvals are subject to drawing number. Let's see what we got here.
Now, what is the drawing number on there? I can't see. Is it on
I
there?
don't see a drawing.
Gotta be down at the bottom. It's just got the
Drawing number
numbers.
V1.0.
Just use the job number, 1843-25.
Right. And proceed to final approval. So that's your motion.
Want to add to that, just for the record, that the applicant has modified the parking lot to use millings versus the gravel. And you might want to have signs, any future signs you're going to be presenting?
So I believe there's going to be a sign on the existing pylon that belongs to Lowe's. Are you going to put up any signs on the building?
Yes, the renderings show some signs.
they're gonna be different, but for the rendering purposes, we just put that on.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, we got a motion, need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, back to the sign. If you're gonna have to put outside signs up by the road, I believe you said the last meeting, you were gonna have them where the
Yeah.
Lowe's sign is?
Yeah,
So you're
that's gonna
have
be
to-
one on the
You're
low
gonna have to come
side.
back in with a sign
Okay, so he'll have to get a permit for
and just
both
put
of
the
those
two,
then. Okay.
put the two of them together, okay? All right, so that'll be future, our signs, we'll deal with that. So right now, the approval, although you have it as showing here, we don't know the color, we don't know if it's lit, we don't know anything about it. We'll deal with that separately,
Yes, separate.
okay? Okay, we have a motion. We didn't get a second?
Mr. Malta,
Aye.
Mr. Giardina,
Aye.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Kosel,
Aye.
Mr. Gasket,
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman,
Aye.
Mr. Kishani.
Aye. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen.
See you soon. Okay, next one, go ahead, Dave.
Dave,
Or,
Fred, whatever you want to call me. Harold. Moon's Thai Myanmar sign located at 950 Ridge Road. The applicant, Amy, forgive me, Amy.
Catalano?
Catalano, oh, it is Catalano, okay. Vital Signs requesting sign approval associated with construction of a 37.2 square foot wall-mounted sign consisting of backlit channel letters on a 37.9 acre parcel located in a high-intensity commercial district under section 265-7 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi, I'm Amy Catalano from Vital Signs. So you pretty much said it, backlit channel letters, flush mount to the building, translucent vinyl prints and on the faces of the letters, LED lighting, kind of the standard for the channel letters. Are there any questions?
Says here, final colors to be decided.
Well, yes, I see that. So we're using like, it's like a metallic gold translucent on Moons, and then it's a hunter green vinyl lettering with the returns, and the channel coil is also green around everything. And then the digital print for the plate is a translucent vinyl.
Okay, anybody? Pretty simple sign.
Okay.
Yep.
Nothing, I'm just,
Anybody down that side? You guys all right with it?
Good looking sign.
Good, yeah, it is, nice looking sign. Okay, want to do a seeker on it? We'll move on.
Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Amy Catalano of Vital Signs to construct a 37.2 square foot wall-mounted sign for Moon's Thai Myanmar consisting of a backlit channel letters located at 950 Ridge Road on a 37.9 acre parcel having SBL number 079.15-1.312. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617C2 of the state environmental quality review regulations and therefore is not subject to further review.
Motion, need a second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion for approval?
Oh, all right. I'll make a motion for the approval for a 37.2 square foot mounted sign, illuminated mounted sign for applicant Amy Catalano of Vital Signs for Moon's Thai Miramar sign, Miramar Restaurant at 950 Ridge Road, as presented.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're good? Okay, good luck with your sign.
Thank you.
Now, this sounds a little bit crazy, but we get these signs and they come in and they're short, and they're gone. But the reason we do this, people question is, why do you bother, what's the big deal with a sign? If you didn't have the control to just look at the sign and say, yes, this is acceptable, this does meet the code, could you imagine what every building would possibly look like down the road? If everybody started to have glowing lights, flashing lights, this, that, and the other. So that's the reason for it. It's a little complicated for the applicant to have to present drawings and so on and so forth. But ultimately, makes a better looking appearance in the town, in my opinion anyways. So you're all set, thank you.
I'm actually gonna stay for the next one too. I told Kurt I would cover his, for Eagle's Nest. I think that's next on the list.
All right, I'll read it in the record.
Yeah,
Eagle
that's the next
Nest
one. Go ahead.
Golf Lounge sign located at 1170 Ridge Road. Applicant is Amy Catalano. She's requesting sign approval associated with the construction of a 60.75 square foot wall-mounted sign consisting of internally illuminated channel letters on a 3.5 acre parcel located in a medium-intensity commercial district under Section 265-7 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Yes, so again, these are backlit channel letters, remote mount, no raceway. There's an icon, the icon in the middle is a little different. There's some translucent vinyl. The blue on that middle icon is opaque, so there won't be light coming through that. Just the gold border, the eagle's head, and those details within. And I don't believe that background of the facade is going to be painted blue. I think it's going to be that, that tannish brown color.
Oh, you mean going across?
Behind the sign, it's shown as being painted blue, and I
Yes.
don't think that's going to happen. I think he told me they may not do that. It'll just be painted like the rest of the plaza. I think that was gonna be up to the landlord, and I think that's what he had said.
Okay, so the blue is just the upper part of it.
The blue, yes, so the blue is the building,
Yeah,
and it's shown here as being painted blue, but it's really not going to be painted blue. It's gonna be that brown color, like the rest of the plaza.
okay, I think
Does that
more the
make sense?
concern is it's not backlit or glowing out or anything.
The letters,
Yeah.
or the
letters will be lit,
letters are backlit,
but
yeah.
that's what I'm saying, but that's
Yes.
it. Not the whole thing won't all be all
Oh,
lit
no,
up.
no.
Okay, all right. Anybody, any concerns? No? You guys all right? Okay, keep moving. Gotta do a seeker on it, yeah.
Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Amy Catalano to construct a 60.75 square foot wall-mounted sign for Eagles Nest Golf Lounge consisting of internally lit channel letters located at 1170 Ridge Road on a 3.05 acre parcel having SBL number 080.09-3-1.31. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C2 of the State Environmental Quality Review Regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, we have a motion for seeker, need a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion to,
I'll make a motion for applicant Amy Catalano to approve a 60.75 square foot mounted sign with illuminated channel letters for the Eagle's Nest located at 1170 Ridge Road as presented.
Second.
okay, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Okay, you're all set with that. We
Okay,
got the
thank
next
you
one
very
too?
much.
Or no, you're done? Okay.
Next item on tonight's agenda, Eagle Nest Golf Lounge sign located,
No.
we just did that. Oh, okay.
We don't want to do one or nothing.
We did 1-0, all right. Next item on the agenda is Cost Cutter sign located at 900 Holt Road. The applicant, Connor Ewing of Elevated Sign Solutions, is requesting sign approval associated with the construction of a 27.5 square foot wall-mounted sign consisting of LED channel letters on a 28.4 acre parcel located in a high-intensity commercial district under Section 265-7 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Connor. We're proposing another set of raceway mounted channel letters. So the cost cutters with the little scissor logo will be illuminated letters with a white face, and then hair salon are going to be non-illuminated letters, just mounted right to the facade there. So, pretty straightforward if there's any questions.
What's the one, Hair Zoo?
Yeah.
That goes where?
That's current site.
That's what's there
Oh,
now.
that's what's currently there now?
Hair Zoo's
Oh, I'm
there right
sorry.
now,
Okay, I
yeah.
didn't see it, okay. Yep, it says it right there, I see it. Okay, anybody, just the figures are lit, that's it. So conforming to code. You guys are all right with it?
Yep.
Do a seeker and we'll keep going.
The Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Connor Ewing of Elevated Sign Solutions to construct a 27.5 square foot wall-mounted sign for cost cutters consisting of LED channel letters located at 900 Holt Road on a 28.4 acre parcel having SBL number 079.12-1-6.211. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C2 of the State Environmental Quality Review Regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John, you wanna keep going? You're on a roll with signs tonight.
Sure, why not? I'll make a motion for applicant Connor Ewing of Elevated Signs to approve a 27.5 square foot wall-mounted sign with LED channel letters for cost cutters located at 900 Holt Road as presented.
Okay, that motion, we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Webster Solar Garden located at 750 Phillips Road. The applicant Katie Socia of Montanti Solar Developments is requesting preliminary site plan approval associated with a 6.63 MW solar generation facility across 20 acres of a 120-acre lot owned by the Xerox Corporation, located in an industrial district under sections 155-5D4, 269-5, and 350-22 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here today. We have a project team representing Webster Solar Gardens project. My name is Katie Socia, representing Montante Solar. We also have Kim Nason from Phillips Lytle, Marcus Lathrop representing Xerox Corporation, and Jenna Suze on behalf of Haley and Aldrich. Together, our team is proposing a 6.6 megawatt solar project to be constructed on Xerox's campus in the town of Webster. We are here today to review updates to the project site plan that were implemented as part of the sketch plan review meeting in September and subsequent meeting held with one of the HOAs near the project site. And I'm just going to pass it to my colleague Kim real quick to talk through that incorporation process.
Yeah, just wanted to touch on the fact real quickly that even before we came before the town with the formal application, obviously, the team was here on the sketch plan conference. We received feedback from the board. We've had ongoing communications with town officials. Katie mentioned there was a separate meeting held with representatives from an HOA, really trying to get public feedback, understanding concerns, what questions there were about the project, having the team there at that meeting to answer questions to the extent we could. We also let everybody know at that meeting that we would be submitting kind of a summary of what the questions were and what our responses were to the planning board. That is in the materials with the filing. There's an exhibit that kind of summarizes what we went through at that meeting. So on the front end, the application was updated to incorporate some of those questions. There were some requests at that meeting with members of the HOA that Katie will talk about the fact that we included in the application. So I'll just ask tonight that you bear with us on the front end of our presentation because we heard a lot of questions then that we've tried to answer. We understand there may be still some discussion and questions in the community about the project. So really our goal is to try to the greatest extent possible to address those questions on the front end, answer some common questions we were hearing, and then obviously we've got the team here if there are any additional questions, but I'll kind of turn it back to Katie to get into the project details.
Thanks. We can go to the next slide. Project background here, I know that we had already previewed this project with you guys before, but it's a reuse of a brownfield site that also contains 2 closed and capped landfills, and this is a DEC-approved use of the site. It helps Xerox achieve green energy goals. It's in compliance with the ongoing monitoring plan that is required by DEC. And part of the project will be open to community solar for eligible subscribers through NYSERDA's ICSA program. And again, after the sketch plan review, our team took the step of meeting with the local HOA for a Q&A. Can you go to the next slide? So just kind of want to set a stage of what we're going to be talking about here today. We've already done and previewed some environmental due diligence with you guys at the last meeting, but there was some additional due diligence that was requested by the board. An environmental easement was submitted to the town attorney for review that was issued by the DEC back in 2021. Geotechnical results were also submitted to the town engineer, and we'll also go through the DEC project review process to date. Project siting and location, updates to the site plan, and including view sheds and updates to the landscape screening plan, and then a couple updates to the decommissioning plan as well. So again, environmental due diligence. There are no jurisdictional wetlands on the site, either Army Corps or DEC. We have confirmation from both that have been submitted to the town for review, and SHPO has issued a no finding, no effect as well. Go to the next slide. I'm just going to pass it off to my colleague Kim to talk through the environmental easement that was granted for this project.
Yeah, just to kind of set the stage, so one kind of recurring question that we had heard is just general questions related to a solar project being located on a remedial site on a capped landfill. You know, are there concerns? How is that addressed? So I'll just start by saying that, you know, solar projects on landfills, on brownfields, they're not new. I've done them all over the state. They're, you know, well encouraged, I'll say, by both the EPA and DEC, provided that they're in alignment with the underlying institutional controls at every site, that there's DEC oversight and approval. They are encouraged, and it's considered a good reuse of a site that may not have a lot of other uses and helps the state meet its significant renewable energy goals. But kind of speaking to this environmental easement that was provided and what it means and what level of security it provides for that oversight is there is a site management plan currently covering this capped landfill, covering the site that includes certain institutional controls, requirements, inspection requirements, and all of those are captured within this environmental easement. Essentially, the environmental easement runs with the land and provides access for DEC to come in, inspect, make sure that the site management plan is still being complied with, and to ensure ongoing operation, maintenance, monitoring requirements that may be included in the SMP. Also, the environmental easement restricts uses on the land. So when a site undergoes remediation, you want to make sure that it's remediated to a certain level that allows for certain types of uses. As Katie mentioned, this environmental easement contemplates a solar project as a permitted use under the DEC regulations, both commercial and industrial uses. But what also comes into play in the environmental easement is if there is a change of use, which this would be to allow for the solar project on the site, then that has to go to DEC for sign-off. And DEC has guidance documents that include certain standards and things that need to be evaluated for solar projects that are being located on these types of sites. I think the team will get into that process and where we stand. Katie will talk about certain things that have been evaluated, like settlement. That's something that DEC requires you take a look at. So really, this environmental easement is a document that runs with the land and will ensure that there are no uses permitted at the site that aren't contemplated, and that all of the institutional and engineering controls that are required at the site remain effective going forward, and DEC can access the site to inspect and ensure that that's happening. So long story short, solar on these types of sites, there's a history of it, it's encouraged, but also there's a level of DEC oversight that is absolutely required for this project to go forward.
Thanks. And we can go to the next slide. So one of the other concerns from both the board and the community was settlement on the asphalt cap, which is a specific capped area on the Xerox campus. And so we did conduct a geotechnical analysis, and the results showed that the project is well under allowable limits. And I'll go into the actual methodology that was used. So a geotechnical investigation was conducted to determine the viability of installing our weighted system on the cap. The methodology was first discussed with and previewed by the DEC team that has oversight over this site. A steel plate was placed directly on the asphalt surface, and special equipment used a dial indicator to incrementally apply pressure or load to the plate at a maximum applied load of 2,000 pounds per square foot. And this was done in 3 different areas across the cap. And the allowable amount of settlement before the integrity of the cap is affected for the sake of this system is a ½ inch. So note the ballasted system altogether, so the racking, the ballast, the panel, the wiring, all the components of the system will only weigh approximately 450 pounds per square foot. And there would be temporary other loads during construction, like a skid steer or equipment like that are about 650 pounds per square foot. So 2,000 pounds per square foot is approximately 3 times heavier than the heaviest load on the site during construction. And even with these additional loads, the results show that the weights are far under the allowable settlement. At Site 1, it's 30 times below the allowable load. At Site 2, it's 33 times below the allowable load. And at Site 3, it's 11 times the allowable load. In addition, Xerox has committed to resealing the entire asphalt cap prior to the start of construction to ensure the long-term integrity over the lifetime of the system. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Janice to review where we are with the DEC review process.
Thanks, Katie. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the solar project team has been in active communication with the DEC, specifically the Hazardous Waste Corrective Action and Post-Closure Division. They're under the Bureau of Hazardous Waste and Division of Materials Management. And a project manager and supervisor have been assigned to this project and are reviewing the project to ensure that it does meet DEC rules and regulations. And in accordance with DEC procedures, as Kim had mentioned, we did submit a change of use notification that's required specifically for this site and for this type of project. And this change of use notification provided details on the solar project, as well as environmental considerations and any requirements for this site specifically. We've had multiple calls with the DEC to talk through the proposed solar project and that change of use that was submitted. We've discussed their comments and their questions and have responded to some of those things. We did submit a change of use, a revised change of use, I should say, and have revised some elements of the solar project design in response to those discussions. That second bullet there, so DEC has been in communication with the town's planning board, and have indicated that if for any reason the DEC determines that through their own separate review process that this project is incompatible with protection of human health or the environment, that they would either notify that the project contacts that that specific requested changes would need to be made in order for the project to proceed, or state that the project would not be able to move forward at all. And the third bullet there, as another layer of the oversight and review and oversight and approvals process, we're required by DEC, and DEC has directed Montante and Xerox to follow their Department of Materials Management policy, DMM4. Its guidance specifically for photovoltaic solar projects at closed solar solid waste landfills. So we've done work and assessments in response to and to meet those DMM4 requirements to make sure that the project will not adversely impact the landfill or the area, and that it is compatible with protection of human health and the environment. I'll turn it over to Katie.
So the project siting, The project has been strategically sited on an area of the Xerox campus where there are two closed landfills and several monitoring wells with ongoing reporting requirements by the DEC. We've already discussed that this leaves the area with limited redevelopment opportunities. However, solar is one of those ones that is encouraged on this site. The parcel is industrial zone located at the dead end of Caracas Drive at the northern part of the Xerox campus. And the closest edge of the panel is more than 200 feet from the closest HOA property line, 740 feet from the closest residential lot line, and 800 feet from the actual closest domicile. We can go to the next. Thank you. The 6.6 megawatt project includes approximately 10,872 panels atop of racking and 18 inverters that have been strategically sited at the southeast corner of the project, 1,300 feet from the closest HOA property line, 650 feet from the closest point on the HOA walking trail, 1,700 feet from the closest residential property line, and 1,860 feet from the closest domicile. The project will be connected directly into RG&E's distributed generation lines along Caracas Drive, and RG&E has already reviewed and approved the project. And the project has been strategically designed so all environmental monitoring obligations with DEC will remain intact. The project has been designed in compliance with the NEC Electrical Code and all state and local laws. Some updates to our site plan include fire access turnaround that was implemented as part of the discussions from the last sketch plan meeting, and ballasted fencing, which was also requested as part of the last sketch plan meeting as well. Major equipment here, panels, AKA modules. This is what they look like. Inverters, again, just wanted to show a real image of what they look like. Geoballasted racking system, so there are no ground penetrations here. It's a weighted system. It's tried and true on landfill projects. And this is an actual photo from one of our sites as well. So one of the major points of concern that we heard from the community was the sight lines, and really the understanding point, not wanting to see or hear the project, basically not wanting to know that it exists. So our team investigated the current sight lines and site conditions to establish a base and then how we can improve and build upon it. You can see some images of the current sight lines here. That's kind of from a little bit further back than the walking trail. You can see the walking trail like within those pictures there. And the bordering vegetation surrounding the entire project site will stay in place. So to the direct immediate east, it's about 2,500 feet of woods and mature vegetation. To the west, it's 1,500 feet of mature woods and vegetation. And then to the northeast and northwest, it's 150 feet on the northeast and 250 feet on the northwest. Or I'm sorry, I swapped those. Northwest and northeast were the opposite. I apologize. So if we click through, again, just wanting to establish a base of what's currently there. There's a mix of deciduous and coniferous trees there that are quite mature, and kind of just, again, like a different image from a little further up on the trail as well. And then this is from the other development that is currently taking place to the northeast of the project site as well.
Can I interrupt you? I'm just trying to ask a question while you're right there. You're saying there are trees, some deciduous, is that on the actual site?
Yeah, so it's a mix. I'm not sure if you're able to bring up like the
Well, the reason I'm
parcel
asking the
mapper.
question though is because if there's trees growing, those trees have roots.
Mhm.
Are the roots penetrating the barrier, the asphalt?
Oh, the asphalt cap, sorry, is only on one part of the project
So
site, and
these
there's
are
no
not-
vegetation on that area. Yeah, the rest of the project
Okay.
site
Just to
is,
clarify.
yeah. So if you kind of zoom in, you can see the property lines are kind of that step-down area there. And that is the area that we were looking at to see the vegetation kind of in there.
Yeah, but just for the record.
So then, if you go to the next slide, one of the members from the HOA suggested we do some infield testing as well, and we did. We plotted the fence line in the northern area and took caution tape and wrapped it around that northern edge at about 10 feet high to simulate the back of the panel. And then those are pictures documenting it. And then a drone was flown closer to the edge of the tree line to try and see if we could actually see the caution tape in that area as already established as is. So that kind of, that yellow line, the yellow area there shows the caution tape. And then the close-up, the red line that's closer to it is where we flew up to see if we could see the yellow caution tape through the existing vegetation. So these are some of the images, and then we couldn't see it, so then we also flew the drone up higher and then shot down into the site to see if we could find it, which is the next image. And again, we couldn't see the yellow caution tape through the tree line. So then, in addition to the already established vegetation, we're going to leave all the natural vegetation intact and then insert a double row of coniferous trees to the northeast and northwest of the project as well, which is right now proposed as a Norway spruce and an eastern red cedar to further mitigate potential view sheds. Trees will be 10 to 12 feet tall upon planting and spaced 10 feet apart on center to allow the trees to continue to grow. And these trees grow on average about 2 feet per year. And because Xerox heard the concerns of these neighborhoods, they have volunteered to implement these plantings as soon as they are able to in the spring season ahead of any major construction on the project. And then decommissioning plan is pretty much the same as what we reviewed last time, but some of the requests by the planning board members were to add drone photos of current site conditions, which were added, and then also to update a table to include a possible 35-year lease term, which was also done there as well. And then I'm just going to kick it off to my colleague Kim again to close us out on our presentation.
Yeah, also one point I want to just touch on for purposes of seeker. Again, we've covered a lot of ground here on DEC, on the fact that this is a portion of the site is a cap landfill, but this project is also a type 2 action under seeker. What that means is there's a list of actions, the board's probably very familiar with them, that there are certain actions that DEC has evaluated already and determined based on the nature of that activity that it does not have potentially significant adverse impacts on the environment. Solar projects that are under 25 acres that are very similar to this project, whether they're on closed landfills, they're brownfield sites with COCs, inactive hazardous waste disposal sites with full liability releases, or currently disturbed areas at sites that are zoned for industrial use. Those are all determined to be type 2 actions. So I just wanted to cover that point as well, and we can answer any questions. But really, I know this is a lot of information, and I'm sure there'll be some questions that come from the public as well that we'll be happy to answer. But we respectfully submit that this is a productive reuse of a site that's been remediated, and we're looking forward to answering questions.
Okay, thank you. Where do we even start? Derek, I know you had some comments on it. Why don't you go ahead?
So, my understanding is that this site is not remediated, that it is an active remediation site. That's the purpose for the cover, to prevent groundwater from seeping into the hazardous materials, which are actually still on site underneath the cover. It is the reason for the bedrock blast trench that is north of the asphalt cover, the remediation system that draws off the groundwater, treats it within the building on site before discharging it to the public sewers. So when you say this site has been remediated, it's actually under remediation.
Correct.
It has not yet met its remediation goals.
Right, and it's subject to those institutional controls that are part of that site management plan and the environmental easement, which limits uses that can
Okay,
exist on
I just
the site.
want to make clear because.
You want to answer that, Mark?
Because I heard the term a couple times that the site has been remediated. but it has not been remediated.
So there's no
It's
active
in-
remediation going on. You're thinking of a different part of the campus where we have that air stripper that's treating contaminants and performing active remediation. There's a record of decision and a series of institutional controls, which is the cap, and a couple other institutional controls that are put in place. The bedrock trench to capture any potential groundwater of concern. So it's not actively being remediated.
So
There's
this is
institutional
different than,
controls and there's groundwater monitoring going on right now.
This is different than the conversation I had with DEC about the site, that the trench, that collection system on the trench is still active and samples
Yeah,
are
that
being
is still
taken.
active. Yeah, we're still pulling
So-
water and we monitor it on a monthly basis. But,
Right,
you know, when we're talking the technical terms here, active remediation is not going on.
but you are pulling groundwater.
Yes, and we test it every month
And
and
it's-
it's in.
But the
any-
site-
any
so
sort of
that-
Contamination's part of Pavilion levels, but it's not, according to DC rules, it doesn't need to be actively remediated at this point. There's a record of decision going back to 1989 on that. A record of determination.
Okay. I'm
So
I'm
it's
confused
like-
because this is totally different than what DEC told us,
Okay.
or told me during a conversation that I had with them, okay? The other thing is that when you referenced seeker and the items that are in here, you've also referenced that the site's a brownfield.
No,
It's-
sorry, let me just be clear.
Because I've heard
Those
the
were-
term brownfield multiple times, saying that the site's a brownfield.
No.
But it is not a brownfield.
So
Correct.
my reference was on the list of type 2 actions, when you're specifically talking about those solar projects that are under 25 acres, there's 4 separate types that can qualify as type 2 actions. You can be any one of those 4 types to fall under the type 2 action, so brownfield is one of them. I was just listing all 4.
Okay, but the engineer referred this as a brownfield site. I want to make it clear that this is not a brownfield site.
Did somebody say? No, it is a site that's subject to a remedial program. It has a site management plan. It has ongoing institutional controls that are part of that site management plan. But when I mentioned, my mention specifically of the brownfield cleanup program, that was just to describe the list of solar projects that are considered as type 2 actions.
I understand that, but the presentation that was just made started out saying that this is a brownfield site. So I want to make it very clear that the presentation, even though it said this is a brownfield, and you said that, not you,
Okay, well,
the person
we're not
behind you
submitting
said
that this is a brownfield.
So it's not a brownfield. So from that case, the item 14, number 2 doesn't apply because it's not a brownfield site, right?
For the
It's-
seeker type 2 actions?
Yes.
Correct.
And you're saying it's closed landfill, so the, closed from the perspective that it's not receiving additional waste. I mean, that is true from that perspective on it.
And that it's
But this is
capped.
also a hazardous waste site, and have you received a release from DEC?
So specifically to the type 2 actions, let me just cover, of the ones that I listed for solar projects, I'll specifically reference the first one, which we talked about, which was the closed landfill, and then the 4th item under the regs, which is a disturbed site that is zoned industrially. So that applies to the entirety of the site. So those are the 2 specifically that we're referencing.
Sure, I understand that, but I also see in here that there's for inactive hazardous waste disposal sites, a full liability release.
But that you are not required to have that, that's just one of the options. So those 4 items are ors, so you don't have to be every one of those items. You just have to be one, and we're submitting that we fall under 2 of them.
I mean, I look at it from a perspective too within later on in the regulation for seeker, where this is focusing on a simple one point of it, but we have to look at the entire project. And I do know that the site is the entire project site. Does
Correct.
include Xerox, so therefore it is a record facility.
And
we
the-
have to take that into consideration while we do the review on it. We
And-
can't
and for
focus
purposes
just-
of the
We
classification-
can't focus on the one item under
Correct,
seeker.
and for purposes of the entirety of the site and the classification, the entirety of the site is zoned industrial. So, understood, you're absolutely correct, need to take into account the full parcel, and that's where that kind of fourth bullet covers the project.
Okay. As DEC, I mean, personally, I have a concern about putting this on top of this asphalt cover, this equipment in general. I also see in the details that there is indications that there's going to be penetrations for cabling for the panels. What your details do show an equipment pad with cabling going underneath. And my understanding is that nothing on the site is allowed to penetrate the surface.
So there's going to be one area of disturbance, which I'm not sure if we're able to zoom in on the site plan a little further. All of the cabling throughout the site is going to be above ground. It's going to all collect in the in the southeast corner of the project. Yeah, if you zoom in a bit there, kind of by the very edge of the access road into the site. So all of the disturbance is going to be limited to the access road, the poles that are going to be, the utility poles essentially that are going to be connecting into the lines along Caracas Drive, and then that medium voltage pad area there. And Janice can probably speak to it a little bit better than I can, but as part of Xerox's site monitoring plan, soil sampling needs to be done within those areas as well before any type of digging can occur. And if you have further questions on that, Janice is probably the best person to answer those.
And then just to make sure it's clear, the red box up there, that's the landfill. That's where the contamination is, where it's been encapsulated, and we have the institutional and operational controls in place. And so any sort of impact to the soil is to the southeast of that. That's the far corner towards the yellow corner there. That's where any sort of intrusive activity would happen.
Do you have to do anything special for the fence, the security fence? Or is that also ballasted mounted, the security fence around the solar array?
Yeah, so it's going to be a ballasted fence. We made that change per the request of the planning board last time. There's going to be part of the fence that's going to be left in place. There's a part of the fence that already exists along the edge of the asphalt along Caracas Drive there. So we'll be attaching the new fence to either, the west side of that to continue along the edge. And then also the fence line will go up kind of north of that building 343 indicated there, and along to make sure the medium voltage equipment is encapsulated as well.
Josh, do you mind switching to the civil set instead of the site plan, because they don't match?
Which page did you want?
So right there, you can just zoom in to that left array area. What Katie's referring to is the remaining fence to stay in place is orange. And then the black line is the proposed fence.
Yeah. Kind of north of building 343 there, that's depicted. Yeah, that area there.
Derek, do you have more questions?
No, I personally just have a concern about putting anything on top of the asphalt cover.
Okay. I got a
And
couple.
also having solar panels on top of the trench system that's part of, the site monitoring system. I'm just not, I understand you're planning on paving it beforehand, it's gonna be here for 35 years with no way to maintain the asphalt around those ballasted.
To be
solar
clear,
panels.
DEC does have the right, if during an inspection, something comes out of concern, like they do have the right to take the system off and make any remediations that are required. If there is like an issue, let's say 20 years from now, where you start seeing a crack or something like that, that is a right that they do have. However, the geotechnical testing that we've done far exceeds the actual weight limits that are going to be on there, and even at those weights, we're just
Oh.
not seeing settlement.
No, I read the report, I
Yeah.
understand. I mean, it does have settlement, and the entire purpose is to prevent surface water from migrating into the hazardous material that is stored underneath the asphalt. It's in place, it's not being removed, it is there, it will be there forever.
No, and
You're not gonna
I just
dig
want
it
to add,
out.
we do annual inspections and annual, maintenance as needed to ensure the integrity of that cap, because I'm concerned about anything going through that cap as well. That's one of
Sure.
my biggest concerns. So,
Because asphalt's not a 35-year product.
yeah, we
And asphalt is not,
address it on an annual basis and make sure we prevent any sort of growth on top of that asphalt cap to eliminate any sort of risk of water going through the landfills.
right. And my concern is that now you have all these ballasted systems that you have to work around to maintain the integrity of the asphalt cap.
No, I understand your concern, yeah,
And that
yeah.
it just doesn't seem a very practical use for this area.
What's the acreage of the capped area? The actual capped area?
I don't know the actual acreage off the top of my head, but it's around 2 acres or so.
I thought I read in an application, Xerox is gonna pave the cap again?
It's
Yeah.
going to
Prior-
reseal the cap again, yes, before
So
the
you're not
pro-
milling and repaving, you're just adding onto it?
Yeah.
How much of asphalt are you looking to add on top of it?
We haven't decided exactly how much, we just,
Okay.
we'll do one last, okay, it's a fresh sheet, let's do one last sealing on that before this happens, and the integrity of the cap is great right now.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that DEC has mentioned about the asphalt is whether or not Xerox is going to, ahead of construction, do a final sealing effort. And as Marcus indicated, they are required by the site management plan to inspect the cap and repair any deficiencies every year. I heard a mention about concern of stuff going, of maybe water, surface water going through any potential cracks. Those blasted bedrock trenches that you mentioned, that is the intent of those that are there, is to capture any sort of infiltration that is on or shearing off of that landfill surface. So there are already protections in place for that concern.
Can I ask, so there's the cap landfill, but then there's the C and D landfill? What's the C and D? The one that's further to the north?
So that landfill was mainly, that's capped and closed as well. DEC is aware of that and has been, was involved at the time. I think it was closed in the, I don't have the date exactly, yeah. Maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, I can't remember exactly the date. But it was reportedly mainly like vegetative debris, not hazardous waste.
But it is capped?
It is capped, yeah, with a low permeable.
Is there a
cover.
reason that wasn't
Sorry,
also
1990.
evaluated in the
Excuse me?
geotechnical report? Is there a reason that wasn't evaluated as part of the geotechnical report?
Yeah, we do have a separate geotech report or geotech analysis of the C and D landfill. We know that the planning board was focusing on the asphalt cap, so that's what we provided, but there is a second geotech report for the C and D landfill. In addition to that, we also did, I think along a couple areas of the cap, some hand-dug holes to ensure that the soil and clay amounts that were reported in the closure report were actually there, and they are actually there. So that's going to be submitted for to the DEC for review as well.
What kind of assurances can we build into the ballasted layout so it does not impact the trenching? So we've discussed about the potential, the geotech report that evaluated the settling on the asphalt cap. There's another one as a geotechnical report that would be on the C&D landfill for the cap. but how do we protect the actual collection trench system where the ballasted footings are gonna sit on top of those?
Sure, so like kind of in that area between, if you can scroll down a bit.
So where the red lines
yeah.
are, and then you have a portion of your array to the east there, where it's cutting through.
Yeah, so we strategically, didn't put didn't put the solar project over that area just because there were two wells and then the trench was connecting them. We're like, let's just leave it open. We did put the solar project over the rest. That hasn't been raised as a concern by DEC, and they have reviewed this and have talked to us about it. It has not been raised by them as a concern in that area to the east there.
I guess my concern is the system is in place to collect groundwater, so if the existing cap was to ever leak in the future, the system is there to collect the water. And if there's enough settlement, I mean, we're talking about 420 pounds per square inch of each footer sitting on top of this trench. Is it possible potentially to stake out this trench and avoid the footers sitting on top of?
I think so. I think that's doable. And I think it's also possible with this system to have small gaps as well between. No problem. That's something we can adjust. Yeah, sure, and then.
Yeah, and those trenches, those are blasted bedrock trenches, so they're in rock, not in soil. So, I mean, I don't know the exact depth, if it's 25, 30 feet, depends on where we are at on the site. So there is a significant layer of material above the bedrock to protect those trenches.
One of the, I guess, conditions that I was contemplating is if you change your ballasted system, a new geotechnical report would have to be submitted to the town prior to a building permit, just because your geotech report is specifically based on this ballasted system. So when it comes to the cap settling and impact. So if you're not gonna be using APA, if you end up switching it, just, I would say a new geotechnical report would need to be submitted.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be using APA. What's in question right now is the actual make and model of the panels, like based on
Yep.
availability of what we can get right now. So obviously, based on size, snow loads, wind loads will tweak slightly, but that's all something that we'll update and submit to both the town and DEC prior to moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. And then Katie, just as a clarification in your presentation, I think you mentioned there were no wetlands on site. You meant freshwater wetlands, right? So that would be DEC. There's still federal regulated wetlands on site.
There are two small areas of wetlands. We are impacting them less than 0.01 acres. However, we are going to follow the Nationwide Permit 51 just to comply with that and not have to go through permit through USACE.
One of your notes calls out, and it's really a question of proposed sequence of work, so no soil disturbance within the CND landfill, but I believe you're using silt socks with stakes, so the stakes would penetrate the soil. Just consider, how you would want to address your erosion sediment control without using stakes.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I recall getting a DEC comment on that and asking if we could reduce the depth of those stakes. And Katie, I believe we can do that, yeah.
Where's your proposed staging area for the project?
So if you scroll down to the actual, dead end of Caracas Drive is going to be like our staging area. So already paved street area.
Okay. I think one of your drawings indicated that you're conforming to 2020 fire code. Again, the new 2025 fire code goes into effect December 31st. It does have specific sections for photovoltaic or solar projects, section 1205. Just want to make sure that you're going to be in conformance with the new fire code. It also has electrical requirements for NFPA 70 that are built into it. So I know the drawings call out 2020, but just want to make sure you're going to be updating for 2025.
Yeah, if 2025 is the standard when we're going for our electrical permit, then that's what will be referenced in the drawings.
Your current fire access K-turn there, it's calling out a 20-foot wide, or I'm sorry, 10-foot wide gate. I'm not sure if that's a mistake. Is the road width 20 feet there? And is the gate 20 feet?
It should have been. I apologize if it's not, and that's an easy thing for us to update for you.
Is it possible to rework that fence line somehow? Because right now, if a fire department was to come in, they can't really access the equipment that's to the west there, the equipment pad, because the fence is in the way. I'm not sure if you want to look at a different layout of the gate, maybe moving the gate closer to the front. I know you're trying to avoid the poles, but at the same time, right now, a fire truck will essentially have to park outside the fence.
Yeah.
And then somehow get the equipment inside to the equipment pad.
If you'd like, we can adjust the fence line to above the K-turn, to north of the K-turn, and so they have that area to pull in, and then even potentially maneuver the truck to like a different side if they had to.
Thank you. Your fence line, now again, it's a ballasted system, but there's some locations, if you look at the existing grade, where it does some drastic changes in grade. Not sure if you're going to be able to install a fence where you currently have it shown. If you wouldn't mind just taking from a look at that, because otherwise you'll have some significant gaps underneath your fence areas.
Yeah, so we could do two things, and we'll, I guess it'll be based on DEC feedback. We can either change those areas to actual traditional staked post with DEC oversight on that process, or we can move our fence line out to where it evens out on topography a little bit more.
I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more of a space between the existing fence and the modules there by the entrance. You're right up to the fence line. It doesn't give somebody, a first responder, space to get around those modules. If you could keep like 15 feet potentially.
Are you talking along Caracas or along?
The existing orange fence right next to the equipment pad, and we
Okay.
have the modules there.
Yeah, we can move that over a little bit, not a problem.
And I think there were some community concerns with regards to potential noise that the inverters would be creating. Have there been any noise studies performed? I saw your detailed breakdown of the decibel attenuation over time, but I'm not sure if you have something like an actual report that would provide the existing ambient noise and then the proposed decibel levels?
Yeah, so you're correct. There was not a noise study included. Really, this is due to the fact that there are, as Katie outlined, very significant setbacks. Whether you're looking at the town's code requirements with respect to noise levels, or you're looking at some of the DEC guidance on assessing noise and mitigating noise impacts. Really, that's why we included the assessment that we had that kind of breaks down how DEC views decibel level reductions. I don't know if it's helpful for us to kind of reiterate some of those setbacks, but that's correct. That question did come up, I believe, at the HOA meeting as well. And some of the concerns we had heard are due to the fact that, our materials reference this decibel level of 18 inverters that are rated at 80 dBA with a combined noise value of 92.6. But importantly, as we pointed out in our materials, that's a level measured 1 meter from the equipment. So you're talking a little over 3 feet. As Katie mentioned, the inverters are kind of strategically placed as far away as we can be from some of those property lines. We're looking at, I believe, over 1,300 feet from the closest HOA property line, over 1,650 feet from the closest point on that walking trail, over 1,700 feet from the closest residential property line, and over 860 feet from the closest residence. And really, that distance, when you're looking at the DEC guidance on reduction in decibel levels, ensures that there will not be perceptible sound impacts at property lines or adjoining residences. So there was not a noise study completed, but the information that we provided from our position shows that the significant setbacks address the issue. And one other point I'll just make is, as we mentioned, the type 2 actions, when DEC went through the amendments to the regulations in 2018 and added these types of solar facilities that are less than 25 acres, they evaluate, potential environmental impacts, which includes noise impacts. And when you look at that type 2 exemption, specifically the one that I referenced with respect to industrial zone sites, the position from DEC is there's not potential for significant adverse environmental impacts for projects of these size located in those types of industrially zoned areas.
I think my last question is just with regards to the landfill sequence of work. Do you anticipate having an on-site environmental monitor by any chance to witness the work that's done along the landfill cap area and potentially report back to the town just to let us know that, that work has gone smoothly, that there were no concerns?
So as part, and I think Marcus or Janice can probably speak more intelligently to it than I can, but as part of Xerox's closure and remediation plan with DEC, there are certain acts that happen on this site that have to have an environmental monitor or some kind of environmental oversight, and that would be areas like where we're going to have disturbance and things like that. So we are planning on complying with Xerox's plan and reporting with DEC.
All of my questions.
Okay, you all right?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
at
so
this
there-
point, probably be a good idea. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna back up what Katie was saying. Yeah, the site management plan that's in place requires environmental monitoring whenever there's gonna be site disturbance. And I forgot what I was gonna say about the cap, but I can't remember right now, but if I remember it, I'll yeah. It is required, yes.
There's been a lot of just, you've mentioned quite a few times, there's been discussions, ongoing discussions with DEC. This is, again, it is an active site, it's a record site, you're going to be talking to DEC for now until eternity. Where are they at in their review of this specific project? Because what I'm not hearing is DEC has looked at this and they have determined that they're okay with it. All I'm hearing is that you've gotten review comments from them and you've responded to them. Where are they at in their review, and when do you expect to hear a response from them in regards to this project?
Sure. So there are certain elements that we can't finalize with DEC until we have site plan approval. For example, one of those items is putting a down payment and locking in our panels. Once we lock in our panels, the geotechnical results are going to potentially change just a little bit based on the size of the panels. Some of the load calcs on the snow and wind loads are going to change. So there are certain things that we can't finalize until we have site plan approval. However, the project will not move forward until we have approval and review completed by DEC. So regardless, outside of this setting, there is a whole nother review and approval that we need to get the thumbs up on with DEC besides this process with the town.
Do they need the
Derek,
site plan
excuse me,
approval
Derek,
to
Derek,
complete that?
They can't hear back there. Get a little
Sorry.
bit closer to the mic. I'm sorry.
Does DEC need site plan approval so that they can complete their review?
I
Or
think
can
that,
we get a response, or get the results of the review before we complete ours?
I think it's, the DEC is waiting. We've made the DEC aware of this meeting. We told them that we're going for a site plan approval. DEC has been supportive of us through this process, and we are not finished with our review process with DEC. They are expecting, in terms of sequence of events, for site plan approval to happen before they complete their review of the project.
Is that preliminary approval or final approval?
Final.
Okay. I'm sure there's folks here want to speak in regard to this project. We have received quite a few letters from neighbors and appreciate the comments and stuff. But if anyone wishes to speak, it is a public hearing. All I ask is that if you go up to the mic, use 3 minutes, don't drag it out. And please, if somebody says something, let's don't all just repeat the same thing over and over. So if anybody wishes to speak, please go up and give us your name and address, and one at a time.
Hi, my name is Peter Latragna. I live at 1444 Quail Creek Trail, which is in the Meadows, which is right next door to this project. I'm going to get a little ahead of this, but I didn't hear what the cost of this project was going to be. Does anybody know?
The cost of the
The
project?
cost.
No, I don't know what it is.
You don't know what the cost is?
Oh, you're asking,
Yeah.
you said you've heard of it.
No, I'm asking.
I believe.
All right, this isn't going to work this way. You need to communicate with the board, the questions,
Okay.
and then if we can
All right.
ask one of them to respond.
Okay. Well, the cost of the project is quite expensive, obviously. New York State taxpayers are paying for the whole thing. Xerox is paying nothing. I need to know how many jobs this is going to create, permanent jobs, not temporary jobs. If the state is investing this kind of money into a project, it should be creating jobs. Xerox is no longer headquartered in Rochester. They are now in Norwalk, Connecticut. CEO Stephen Bandrowczyk, salary and compensation $14.3 million a year. Xerox did at one time employ over 12,000 people in 1987. At the end of 2023, they had 1,754.
Okay, hold
1,000
on, we got 3 minutes. and
Yes,
you
I'm
don't
almost
need
done.
the history of Xerox. but
I'm almost done.
Move on with this, get to your point.
In
If
2024,
you could
that
just keep
decreased
your-
by
Hold on 1
300.
second, sir. If you could just keep your comments germane to the project.
Okay. Well, this is all building up. Where is Xerox going with this down the road? If they're employing less and less people every year, those buildings are all vacant over there. I'm asking why, if this project goes, how many permanent jobs is it create? Is it going to have those buildings filled? Also, the life expectancy of these solar panels is 25 to 30 years. Each year after the first year, they lose about 1% of their efficiency. So about 20, 30-year mark, but it's about half gone because it increases more as the years go by. Max is 40 years out of these. That's all I have to say. And I know I was getting ahead of myself here, but this is important to me that when our tax money is going into something, we should get something out of it. Thank
I
you.
don't think you're gonna get an argument. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Elaine Johnson, 626 Pine Lakes Trail. I represent the 261 signatures of Webster residents that lack confidence and are opposed to this project due to it falling short to protecting the human health and our environment as it relates to it being developed on a hazardous waste site. Construction on this location could have long-term impact on soil, air, and water, and the risks may not be able to be determined by the DEC today. As the board continues its due diligence in reviewing this project, we respectfully urge you to prioritize the safety of your fellow neighbors and residents as you make your final ruling on this project. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, sorry. Did we say something bad or something? Okay, no one else wishing to comment on this? Yes, sir, go ahead.
My name is Robert Curtis. I live at 1474 Bushwood Circle, and I just have a number of questions about the project. How many trees are you taking down? Do you know how many
Well,
trees?
go ahead and ask the question. They'll take note of it, and then we'll have them respond.
Okay.
Next question.
How many trees are taken down?
Okay, what's the next question?
Next question is, this will predominantly face south. We have aircraft that fly over from the south. On Bushwood, we sit and watch planes come in all the time. What impact does this have, and has it been assessed on the visibility and any impact on the pilots going by? Can the board make them replace every tree with another tree on their property? Because they have a lot of property. If this is really a green project, then it ought to be a green project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One of you folks want to address any of those questions? Sure, go ahead. I think he had like 3 questions.
Tony, I think somebody was going to speak.
Well, let's address the questions
Do you
first.
wanna?
Go ahead.
Okay, so in regards to concerns about visibility to pilots, as part of our project review process, this project was submitted to the FAA, and actually every corner, every point of the project needs to be submitted. It was reviewed and approved, and we do have that information. And regarding tree removal, I don't know the number of documented trees that are being removed. Again, this is a site that doesn't have a useful alternative, and DEC, Xerox both feel that this is a good reuse of the site. We are going to be implementing some trees as part of our landscaping mitigation as well. And then I just wanted to clarify one point on the degradation of the panels. I'm not sure what panels are being referred to, but the panels that we need to use for our project that are compliant with NYSERDA are Tier 1 panels, which have a 0.5 degradation rate, not a 1% over the year. So just want to clarify that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Was there some, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Kabili, and I live in Webster, and I'm just speaking on behalf of the Open Space Committee. I just wanted to speak to not only the perimeter and the visibility that's affected, but just in general, the biodiversity of this area. And I wanted to just take this point of reusing the land, it's not usable, these kinds of claims that go part and parcel with the development and with the grant and with Xerox goals. I don't think that that's in line with Webster's town goals for open space and biodiversity. I think that there's important use of the land in its current form, and I worry that, simply replacing trees, that is extremely important, but there is more to it in this land. And I share concerns about the health and safety of the residents and neighbors. I think these are extremely important. I think that the compliance is clear, but at the same time, these risks are still there, and some unknowns are still there. So I just wanted to express my concern with the safety.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, my name is Mark Williams. I live at 1448 Quail Creek Trail. And I was just thinking it'd be great if groundwater testing results could be made available publicly, as they're periodically done. It would just help people understand what's in the water, or the concentrations of the contaminants going up or down, that kind of thing. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, okay. Thank you. Are any of those reports available? It's a good point. I mean, it might put more ease into this whole thing.
Yeah, any report that we submit to the New York State DEC is publicly available.
Where, can you provide?
It can either be requested through like a FOIL request. In some cases, depending on the site, they have a DEC info locator, like a web, it's via the web. You can access the document repository.
Can you provide links?
Yeah, we can provide a link, yeah. And we did get a request from the DEC project manager recently, who was asking us for all past available electronic reports. So they will have all of that available soon, so there will be more available.
Okay. All right, is there anyone else? Again, this is a public hearing, and before we close it, no more comments? Okay, then with that, we'll close the public hearing for this project, bring it back up to the board for discussion. What are we doing with this? Anybody have any thoughts, changes, modifications, whatever? Derek, anything? I know
My
you've done a lot
primary-
of study on it.
My primary concern is really putting anything on top of the asphalt cover.
And so the alternative would be to move it
Either
off of that?
Put it on a different part of the site or just
Okay.
leave that area blank.
Okay. Okay.
Really kind of given the history of the site and the type of site it is. I'm just not,
Just leave the capped area totally alone,
yeah.
okay? Johnson?
Yeah, I
Self-familiar?
checked the drawings again. It would be good to see where the proposed tree line is. The
Mhm.
existing tree line is there, but not where the proposed tree line is after the clearing. If a table could be included that shows the limits of disturbance acreage and then also the proposed clearing acreage on the drawings.
And your thought, relocating it off of the asphalt? As Derek is stating. I mean, that seems to be the biggest concern that I'm hearing. In the letters that people have responded to the town with, all refer to the weight. And I understand they've done studies, and that was one of our concerns at the beginning, was constant pressure in one spot. And then you can do a test on it. But when you do a test on something like that, you can park a big truck on an asphalt driveway and it'll be fine, but eventually it'll settle. So with these kinds of weights concentrated, excuse me, with these kind of weights concentrated in a particular area, will this in 80, 90 degree temperatures cause this to soften and do some settling? That's, you know, asphalt is soft.
I think having the reports
I
available.
think, I'm sorry.
Having the reports available that they've done for the
Yeah,
last
they've done
40
it,
years.
but.
To see
She's
if
talking-
there's been
but-
improvement or to see if there's been, you know, what the data shows,
Mhm.
right?
For the sample results for the monitoring program.
Right.
They've given us tests, they showed the, calibration of,
No, you're talking about two different things.
yeah.
You're
well,
talking about asphalt.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the groundwater that one of the gentlemen,
But then you can go back to what Derek is suggesting, which is not a bad idea, is maybe
we don't have any of that data.
totally eliminate the building on the asphalted area.
Why don't we allow them to answer a few of those
Yeah.
questions? First, I guess the first question that seems to be the biggest for the board is why the solar panels have to be on the cap? And was there any thought to put it somewhere else? And then the second question was the actual weight on those caps if it does get approved that way.
Yep, so I'll kind of, if you're okay with me reversing the order, which I'm gonna respond to those. On the cap side of things, as Katie mentioned, there was a geotech analysis done. It does analyze the weight over time. As we've also talked about, there are requirements for the site and for that cap under the site management plan that have to be complied with. That is true even if the owner of the site was to change, that's what's captured in that environmental easement. So DEC, as well as Xerox, will be monitoring that, and if there are any issues, it will have to be addressed. So there is a DEC process, as we've talked about. They are aware of the asphalt cap. They are aware of the geotech. This is part of their analysis. This is squarely in their purview with the existing site management plan, with the change of use, with the Division of Materials Management policy. So understanding the questions and the board's concerns, DEC will be evaluating all of those points. They have already asked some follow-up questions as we talked about, and I think in the correspondence we included from the DEC to the town, they're happy to answer any questions and to keep the town updated as to how the review's going as well. With respect to moving panels off of this area, Katie, I can let Katie speak to some of the site-specific conditions, but yes, we've evaluated whether there is ability to relocate it, but one, the analysis that we've done from our position has demonstrated that it is safe to put the panels there based on DEC guidance, based on the regulations, based on the analysis that we've done. But also there are some limitations on the site with respect to streams and some other site features that limit where else the panels could be put at a project size that is sufficient to ensure viability.
Yeah, so in regards to being able to take that off and relocate it elsewhere, there really isn't anywhere else to put it on the site. The site is bordered by 2 different streams. We have setbacks from those streams as well to account for, appropriate wetland setbacks. There really isn't, if you kind of move it off-site, it's going to be like this orphan project somewhere else. So we really can't take those panels off and put them somewhere else.
Okay.
Why not the parking lot just to the south of the site?
I'm sorry?
Why not in the parking lot just to the south of the site?
Xerox doesn't own that property anymore. I believe Tessie does.
Okay.
So that was
Yes.
subdivided out.
The other thing, Derek, like, I think the
When
concern.
was that subdivided out?
Okay. Yeah.
So there's also, concern is settlement of the asphalt cap, right? The system that they're proposing to use has a tolerance of how much this metal beam rack is able to actually allow settlement, and it's only 1 inch. So 1 inch over a foot. So it is in their best interest that there's no settlement underneath the ballast systems, because the system itself will not tolerate it settling. In the report, the geotech report did say that they only had 1/2 inch of settlement in the asphalt. I mean, it could be a condition that, when we ask Xerox, how much are you overlaying? Maybe we stipulate how much the additional overlay is on top of the asphalt. We say it has to be at least 1.5 inches or 2 inches that you're adding on in order to proceed.
I just want to clarify one thing. There wasn't a 1/2 inch of settlement. That 1/2 inch is what is allowable. The actual amount of settlement at each of the different sites was, at the first site, 0.0162, at the second site, 0.0151, and at the third site, 0.0554. So I just want to clarify that as well.
Minimal.
Thank you.
And over what period of time was that? Did it say?
Janice, do you know? It was like a full day, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly long the tests are, but it was a standard geotech testing process that it was accepted.
I
Yeah, I
just
don't
have
know.
one question on, do the panels have to stay like level? I mean, does it affect the panels if they do settle, or just for solar collection, I guess? It's kind of a random question, but.
Yeah, so just for ongoing maintenance and things like that, we don't want the system to settle. If you have the system settling, the actual racking components are going to start getting messed up. So you don't want settlement within. There is minimal settlement allowances, not every single piece of ground is going to be perfectly flat, but you don't want to see large changes in between your racking parts.
Okay, let's break this thing down a little bit. All of the letters that we've received pertain to health, safety, and welfare, and so on and so forth. We're looking at this thing as a package of previously contaminated site that's capped over now. and solar panels. But we're putting it all together. Separate them a minute. Let's take just the site. That site, as it stands, has been there since what, 1990?
No, I think it was closed in 71, the landfill?
Oh, okay, that's, so it's been covered, I mean, it's been capped for how long? Several years?
Yeah, going
Okay.
back to, I think, the 80s is when it was officially, once environmental regulation came about, then they did the asphalt cap and started doing the controls.
Okay, so, so with the constant review, studies, testing, there's been nothing that's caused an issue with DEC or anyone. Am I right with that so far?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, if that's the case, then we can assume that it's a safe site if not disturbed.
Yep.
Okay? Fair enough conclusion to that? If it's a safe site, the way it stands, is constantly monitored, then we're okay. Now, that should alleviate some of the concerns of people with health, safety, and welfare. That's the concern that I would have if I was living there. So set that aside now. Now let's go to the panels. Do they emit any pollution or anything like that?
No, no active pollution is there, like producing, I mean, I'm sure in the actual manufacturing process, yes, of course. But then also at the end of the useful life, we do have a decommissioning plan in place where
Yes.
we are sending the panels to a recycling facility. Just want to clarify that as well.
Okay. All right, so then based on that, that is the separate issue. There's no contamination, it's a use for the site by putting the panels there, and you just explained there is no concern with the pollution, that is sealed. So put these two items together now, let's put the package together. So you've got the land that's neutral, not contaminated on top, everything's good. No harm to anyone. Now you want to put panels on this thing. DEC is okay with it. There are no complicated issues to be seen. Other biggest concern we had was because of the gabions settling. You've resolved that, I guess, as best as you can with. Now, I gotta say, I don't know what the issues would be. Anybody feel any differently? I don't know.
I got one question. You said that cap went in around 1980?
I don't know the date off the top of my head. I was born in 77, so.
So it's roughly about 45 years
Whatever,
old.
yeah.
What kind of maintenance has been done in that period of time?
So we do annual monitoring, annual inspection of the cap to make sure the integrity is maintained, and, you know, if you see any sort of a little green thing, you pull it and you put more asphalt down. So it's on an annual basis, and we have to track that and report to the DEC on an annual basis that we completed that inspection, did any sort of maintenance that was needed to maintain the integrity of the cap.
Do you seal that
Yep,
with the sealer?
yep.
And the other issue would be, it was brought up, I think one of the residents brought up about, or you brought it up also, the noise from these that's emitted. If you were the closest house to that property, would you hear this?
No.
No, okay, that was one of the concerns people had in letters, was the sound traveling. Based on what you're telling us here, and based on what I've heard, I think we should be making a
sorry,
move.
Tony, I just have one more. I mean,
Go ahead.
there was a concern that was brought up about the clearing and the trees being removed. Now, we just have to keep in mind that the sampling, the water sampling that are currently being done reflect a site that is vegetatively covered with trees. So now if we remove those trees, you have more groundwater. Is there concern that now with more groundwater, there's a spike potentially in
In that area.
You're gonna continue to monitor that, though, there's gonna be the monitoring wells, right?
Yeah, and the caps are still in place around the contamination, so more or less.
More so worried about the groundwater and this collection system that's meant to protect it, though, making sure that that is not impacted.
That concern concern hasn't been raised by the supervisor and the project manager overseeing this project. We are obviously, as part of our project, going to revegetate the site just with grass seed, and that's going to be part of like our SWIP and everything in compliance with that as well.
Good.
Okay. All right, what are we doing here? Anybody have any suggestions? As far as I can see, my feeling when I came in was questionable, but after comments, Drazen made some, Derek's made some good comments there. And going through these letters, again, that's why I wanted to separate the two, you know, the land from the use of it, you know, and we did that, and I have no issues with this. I did in the beginning, I'm serious, the gentleman sitting here, I kind of agreed with him, I even brought that up when you were in here for a sketch plan. It's my dollars going into it, what the heck am I getting out of it? That part I'm not happy with, but that's the way the world turns today, I guess.
Can I address that as well? So, the project is in the process. I know this is like sits with the town board and not the planning board, but we are planning to try and have a discussion about a pilot and an HCA with the town about this project. So we do plan to pay into the town's tax basis
Okay,
as
that's
part of this
interesting.
project. Yeah, so again, I can't speak to the amounts or anything because they haven't been agreed upon by the town board. I know that's voted on over there, but that is something that's being considered as part of this project.
Okay, that's interesting, okay. All right, David?
I think there's a
Derek,
lot of
Peggy?
checks and balances, you know,
Are you comfortable
throughout
with
the
this?
project. Yeah, I am now.
Peggy, what do you think?
I don't like that we have to give approval on a site plan before the DEC.
Well, that's,
Conditional, though.
Condition,
right?
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
But
We would be completely fine with a condition to the approval acknowledging that DEC sign-off
subject to,
is required.
okay. Jason?
Yeah, I think we had, aside from the DEC, some other conditions we want to make sure that are built into the approval, though.
What we can do is start a resolution, if we're willing to move forward with it, and then whoever has, let's itemize it down. I didn't take notes of it all, I don't know if we can get it off the tape later on, but
May I just ask one procedural
do it.
point
I'm
question?
sorry, sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
I see that we are listed as preliminary site plan approval. We filed as simultaneous preliminary and final. I'm just wondering the context, if both of those are able to be evaluated simultaneously, or?
If it's not published just as a preliminary site plan approval, I think that's all we'd be able to do.
Because we did submit the full civil set and all of the deliverables required for the final,
Well,
so.
I'll ask engineering department. Josh, what do you think? I don't know.
The request was for preliminary and final, but as you mentioned, it was advertised just for preliminary because we've run into issues in the past granting both without everything nailed down. So it was communicated to the applicant that preliminary was only going to be looked at tonight.
Okay, so then it'll be a preliminary approval if we go that way. And then put stipulations in, those can all be addressed then at a final, whatever comments we've got to add to this. Okay, that'll be it then. All right. Again, we've got to do a seeker on this. Derek, you've got one, I think, there, if you needed to have it, if we got to this point.
I just want, kind of got to go back to one
Go ahead.
clarification, really.
You got to get closer to that mic, though.
So you're saying, kind of going back to understanding the terms the DEC uses as opposed to terms that the public would use. For this particular site, with the blasted trench that's in there, you're saying that there's not an extraction system in there? Is there,
No, so that's part.
there's no active remediation system operating for this cover, this site other than the cover?
So the groundwater is pumped from the blasted bedrock trenches and discharged to the POTW
Okay, so it is,
under a permit.
it is under ongoing remediation from
You could
that
call it that.
standpoint, you are drawing groundwater and discharging into the PODW.
Mhm.
You're not treating it yourself, you're just drawing it off the ground.
Not for
and
this area of the site,
continuously
no.
Pumping it into the sewers.
Okay,
All right, sounds good.
all right. You wanna do a seeker on this one and we'll move it along?
A secret resolution for the Webster Solar Gardens. The Town of Webster Planning Board consider request by applicant Montano Solar to construct a community solar energy facility on land owned by Xerox Corporation located at 750 Phelps Road, Webster, New York, on portions of the parcels having SBL numbers 65.02-1-40.11 and 65.03-1-9 and 65.19-1-1, etc. Whereas Montana Solar, the applicant, has submitted an application to the Town of Webster Planning Board, the Planning Board for preliminary site plan approval to construct and operate a community solar energy facility known as the Webster Solar Garden Project, the property owned by Xerox Corporation located at 750 Phillips Road in the Town of Webster, Monroe County, New York. And whereas the portions of the property are located on property that is undergoing environmental remediation under the oversight of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and is subject to environmental easement dated November 16th, 2021, recorded in the Monroe County Clerk's Office. And whereas a portion of the site is undergoing environmental remediation and is subject to institutional and engineering controls pursuant to the NYSDEC approved site management plan. And whereas the applicant has represented to the Town of Webster Planning Board has confirmed through review of the submitted site plans that the project involves the installation of solar energy arrays on less than 25 acres of physical alteration. And whereas the Webster Planning Board hereby declares itself the lead agency for the purposes of making a secret determination for the project. And whereas whereas the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, and its implementing regulations require lead agencies to determine whether a proposed action is subject to environmental review. And whereas 6 NYCRR 617.5A provides that actions or classes of actions identified as type 2 actions are not subject to review under SEQR because they have been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment or are otherwise precluded from the environmental review. And whereas 6 NYCRR 617.5C, number 14, specifically identifies as type 2 actions the installation of solar arrays where such installation involves 25 acres or less, the physical alteration of the following sites, including pursuant to subpart number 1, closed landfills, and subsection 5, currently disturbed areas at sites zoned for industrial use. And whereas the planning board has reviewed the applicant's submission, including site plans, project narrative, and documentation regarding the property's environmental status and remediation history. And whereas the planning board has reviewed the environmental easement and confirmed that the property is a remediation site subject to NYSDEC oversight with allowable uses, including commercial and industrial activities. And whereas based on its review, the application materials, and the applicable SEQR regulations, the planning board finds that the project falls within the type 2 classification set forth in 6 NYCRR 617.5C 14.1 and 5 because number 1, the project involves the installation of solar energy arrays. Number 2, the installation involves 25 acres or less of physical alteration. And number 3, the project is located on a site that is undergoing environmental remediation under NYSDEC oversight with allowable commercial and industrial uses. And whereas the planning board notes that while the project is exempt from SEQR as a type 2 action, the applicant remains subject to all other applicable local, state, and federal requirements, including compliance with environmental easement and the site management plan approved by NYSDEC. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board hereby issues that the Webster Solar Garden project is a type 2 project action pursuant to 6 NYCE CRR 617 5C 14 1 and 5, and as such is not subject to review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
That be your motion, we need a second.
Second it?
Have a second, I'll call the roll.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Malta,
Aye.
Mr. Giardina,
Aye.
Mr. Kosel,
Aye.
Mr. Gassett,
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman. Aye. Mr. Kashani.
Aye. Okay, I'll start a motion for preliminary approval, but I'm gonna need you guys to help, because there were things you brought up that need to be put into it. I'll make a motion for a preliminary approval for the Webster Solar Garden at 750 Phillips Road. And I'll use some of the generic items first of all here. Just, there wanted to be a subject to a letter of credit posted with the town of Webster, and subject Conservation Board comments. And in regard to this, we did have a letter from the Conservation Board, should have mentioned it earlier, and they did not have any significant issues with the site, so just for the record. Make that subject to no land being transferred to the town. No price, all improvements shall be, all improvements shall be constructed according to the specifications of the town of Webster, and all roadway construction on the site to be in accordance with specs and regulations set forth by the town of Webster. And all site work is to be in compliance with the standards of the town of Webster. You want to preserve, and what you plan on doing, preserving mature trees where you can. You're not taking the whole thing out, so you're not clearing the site. Okay? Let's see, comply with all requirements of any state, county, and town agency. Address drainage, which you've done. There's no lighting, no drainage, forget that one. Landscape, hardscape, we're not gonna deal with that right now. And this would be made approval subject to drawing number, whatever the heck it is there, what is it? So many drawings I've got here now. Is there a number on there, Josh, anywhere?
You should use the civil set, not this one. I think.
Which one, Josh?
So it's project number 02053999 and dated September 2025 is the drawing set.
Okay. Okay, and with that, then, I just add in that, I've had, the only note I took was the DEC approval prior to, any approvals, but that's, you say that's, doesn't come until afterward.
Correct.
That's after you get final approval.
But we agree that no building or electrical permit shall be issued by Town of Webster before that sign-off from DEC is given, yes.
All right, Jocelyn, you had some comments, you want to add some in there?
Yeah, I had asphalt cap is overlaid with a minimum of 1.5 inch asphalt.
Did you say 1.5?
Yep.
Okay.
Bedrock trench is protected from the ballasted footers. Geotech settling report provided for C&D landfill area. Project complies to 2025 fire code. Access road gate is 20-foot
Yeah,
wide.
I think this, yeah, I got that. Final approval, we can add that all in.
I'm sorry, are these changes that we need them included in the drawings next time, or this is the conditional approval? Okay, then we'll leave it at that.
Is that it, or you got more?
Well, the other stuff is really more drawing related than,
Well, things that we want to put into the resolution.
Maybe you should just say the drawing related stuff
Okay.
now, just to. so that-
deviation from solar racking ballasted system requires revised geotech report. Limits of disturbance acreage and tree clearing acreage to be shown on the plan. Erosion sediment practices needs to be evaluated in no soil disturbance area. That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. Derek, you had a couple of comments you had, I know you wanted to, do you want to put anything into it?
Well, it's just my personal thought, I just don't want to see the
Pretty
racks
good
on
then?
top of the
Okay.
cover, but that's not a.
All right,
condition.
okay. That will do it for preliminary approval. Need a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Kashani.
Aye.
Mr. Malta.
Aye.
Mr. Giardina.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson.
No,
Mr. Kosel.
Aye.
Mr. Gassick.
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman. Aye.
Okay, 6-1, was it? Okay. All right, I guess you're set for preliminary approval. Move forward to final, come in with requested information, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good night. You want to take a couple minute break? Keep going? Okay.
You only got
Just
two things.
Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
get it over.
Okay, go ahead, Dave. Then, Mark, I'm sorry.
Bella Terra Maintenance Garage located at Bella Verde Way, Lot 209. The applicant, Mike Ritchie of Costage Engineer, is requesting preliminary final plan approval associated with the construction of a 1,600 square foot accessory maintenance garage on a 0.40 acre parcel located in a low-medium residential district under sections 269-10, 269-11, 350-36 of the Code of the Town of Webster. Boy, I can clear a room, can I? Yeah.
I thought they were all here for me. Mike Ritchie from Costage Engineering. Yeah, I think the board's familiar with this project. Private development. The owner would like to put up a maintenance garage for lawnmowers, snow plows, just looking to be kept in one spot. The reason we're in front of this board, per town code, any accessory structure over 500 square feet requires planning board approval. We are proposing a 40 by 40 maintenance garage to be built on lot 209. We tried to look through and find the largest lot out there. It's tucked away back from Salt, Schlegel, and most of the rest of the development. I did submit, a second sketch there, kind of showing the overall subdivision, and in red there is the proposed maintenance garage tucked away in the corner. Again, it's going to be for lawn maintenance guy, snowplow guy. It's not going to have a permanent, shop there with people coming in and out all day. It's going to have architecturals that are going to match to the building itself. You can see, I think it's 2 garage bays there, just so snowplows, can come in and out and be tucked and hidden away, not parked in a driveway at the model or something like that. So we do have to go to the zoning board for this, and we're planning on going to that next week. If this board doesn't have an issue with it, we would hope that maybe a conditional approval for this could be granted, contingent upon, obviously, any variances from the zoning board. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Would this be a permanent building on that site then?
Correct. Yep. It's an
So
accessory
when the house
structure.
is sold there, that would be,
That'd be part of the lot. Yep.
okay, and what's your, if you go back to how far was it from the road? It looked like it was,
I believe it's 15 feet off the front of the road. Just trying to kind of keep it accessible, make it as short of a driveway as it can be. And again, the driveway is going to be fronting actually on the stub road between the Meadows 2 subdivision and this. So it's not necessarily even going to be fronting in front of anybody's house. Yeah, so the driveway will be off the north there. And again, it's 2 bays. Again, probably snowplow and lawn mowing equipment would be tucked in there in that building.
kind of an unusual situation. I don't ever recall having something like this. 15 feet from the roadway.
Oh, 15 feet from the property line.
Yeah.
Or, more like 30 feet from the
Well, yeah.
edge of pavement.
Anybody any concerns or questions on it?
Well, the other thing I'd like to see is throw some windows in this thing.
Yeah, we can certainly
So it
throw.
doesn't look like a,
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. Maybe a couple
garage
windows just to
area.
let in some light and match the architecturals of the units.
Is the exterior color going to match
Yes.
some of the other
Yep,
residents' row
and
house?
the units kind of have they're not all identical. They
Yeah.
kind of have a few different color schemes. So they'll pick one that kind of blends in with pre-existing colors.
Okay, anybody, any other issues or concerns?
Is there, how's this gonna affect sightlines for traffic in the future?
Traffic in the future, I mean, I
Yeah.
think any use of this would be minimal. We'd have one guy plowing during a snowstorm, and he would probably drive his, a personal vehicle there, park it, take the snowplow out, do his route, go back. Same thing if,
Yeah,
the
in
lawn crew
relation to
guy.
future development.
Future
When-
development?
When you have more traffic going through the area. To me, it's kind of an odd, too close to the road kind of a building.
Yeah,
And I see it's on the stud, yes, and right now it's really out of the way, but it just seems to be,
we
an
looked to
odd
find
spot.
better spots throughout the development, and this seemed, and I get your point, Derek, that, residents could be cutting through. Quite honestly, potentially, yes, anybody coming up Salt may cut through this development in the future to get to the Meadows subdivision. But again, I think the traffic associated with this, it's not gonna be somebody coming and going all day. It'd be somebody that comes, once or twice a week to do lawn maintenance, somebody that comes after we get, 3 inches of snow.
Dave, you were mentioning the window, on the drawing, you show windows.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
They're already there.
I didn't draw them.
where?
In the back.
You got 4 of them. You got a man door on the side, 2 windows, the other
Yeah.
side has 2 windows.
And
not seeing
I think this
windows.
was discussed last year to come in. The issue is that you can't make application
Yeah.
for an accessory structure until the primary structure has been built. So
Where are the windows?
209 has been constructed.
The rear elevation?
There's
There's no,
windows.
there's no windows in the rear elevation.
So yours, for example, has windows there, mine doesn't have windows there.
No, I don't have windows to the rear elevation.
But you have windows on the side, which I don't.
We got 2 different drawings.
Yeah,
2 sets, well anyways, it's
two
okay.
sets.
You want windows, bottom
You want
line,
window, you'll
right?
get
Okay.
windows.
So you want to use the one that's got the windows.
Understood.
Right,
Move on, let's go.
let there be light.
All right, we okay with this? It's got to go to the zoning board.
So quick question, so this is a duplex on site. This garage is going to be part of the parcel that the duplex,
Correct. Yep.
so is that duplex owned by somebody, as in their taxes are gonna have to reflect this additional?
All the units are owned by,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry,
Bellator.
okay, yep, all right.
Yeah.
It's one owner, but every lot is a full lot with its own tax number.
Separate tax,
It could be sold in the future.
yeah. Okay, and so you could put something in then in future that it doesn't get subdivided, it's going to be part of it, so whoever buys those units.
I'm sure there's
buys
somebody
them-
out there that
buys
would
them-
love
buys
something
them.
like
So
that.
eventually, it's
Yeah.
gonna be owned by Lot 209?
Eventually, yes. Yep.
Why don't you do it now?
I don't think he has any intention to sell off the units, and if one unit is sold, then it
I
kicks in the need to
understand it may
form an
not be his
HOA.
intention,
Yeah.
but why do we want to leave that up for grabs?
This has to go for variance?
Yes, there's
Okay,
a
so
couple
how-
variances. You can approve it on condition
Okay,
of,
put that stipulation in there?
Correct.
All right, okay.
And it can be sold until subdivided.
no, this whole thing's been subdivided. They're established lots.
If it's the same lot, the only way to rebuild is to subdivide that lot.
yeah,
Okay,
further
so this is all lot
subdivision
209.
of Lot 209 would not
So
be
it's already incorporated.
correct. There would not be any additional re-subdivision.
No, I thought it was 2 lots. Okay,
Okay?
yep.
All right, I guess, okay, then if we give this thing a preliminary approval. Boy, this is unusual. We're gonna give preliminary and final approval prior to a variance.
Contingent on them getting the variances.
Yeah, I know, but that's, at this stage, usually we don't do that.
Right.
Usually
I think we should
have a
wait. I
sketch
think
plan.
We should do preliminary and wait for the results of the,
We can
the
come back
zoning
next
board
month if
before
you're
you
more
do it.
comfortable with that,
Right.
Yeah.
after the zoning board.
What's that?
If you want to only grant preliminary tonight, we can come back after the zoning board.
Yeah.
That'd be better.
Well, I don't know, the way I'm thinking is if we're giving a preliminary final, it goes to the zoning board, it's like, it's a done deal. I mean,
I
they
get what
may
you're
say,
saying.
well, wait a
You're
minute.
guiding the zoning board by granting.
They may come up with something totally different on it.
We don't want to set a precedent either, doing that.
You okay, if y'all are okay with preliminary, we'll move with preliminary.
Yep,
Okay, all right, gotta do a seeker on this, I guess, right?
yep.
Yeah. Town of Webster Planning Board consider a request by applicant Mike Ritchie of Costas Engineering to construct a 1,600 square foot maintenance garage for Bella Terra located on Terra Way, Lot 209, on a 0.40 acre parcel having SBL number 065.02-6-20. The planning board classifies the proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C12 of the State Environmental Quality Review Regulations, and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, the motion is second.
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, a motion for preliminary approval for this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for preliminary approval of Bella Terra Maintenance Garage located at Terra Verde Way, Lot 209, subject to PRC comments. All improvements shall be constructed according to the specification of the Town of Webster. There's no, all site work to be in compliance with the standards of the Town of Webster. Comply with all requirements of any state, county, or town agency. Address any drainage and landscaping. And it's subject to, subject to approvals, drawing number, whatever we got here.
Is it heaven?
7686.
Project 6786.
6786, yeah. Okay, that's your motion?
That's the motion.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Have a second? I'll call it.
Mr. Malta?
Gotta add one thing,
What's that?
subject to determination of ZBA for requested variances.
Yeah, that's right, yep, good catch.
Now I'll say aye.
Okay. Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mr. Gassick?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, you're all set with that one. Okay, you got the last one there?
All I got is a change request for McAlpin Industries.
Is it item review, change request? McAlpin Industries change request. We're doing administrative.
All right, so it's not a hearing, right?
Yeah.
No, it's on the last
Okay,
page.
well, wait, keep going, Mike. Go
So,
ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Myself, members of the McAlpin team and the LaFroy's team are here to kind of go over changes to the site that have occurred, transpired the last few weeks. The big one, I think, which brought us to the board, there was some additional tree clearing. There was some confusion internally between our team, our survey team, in terms of what was the plan to clear, and they cleared what in our mind was still under review plan, not an approved plan. So as you can see, that area in red was cleared when that wasn't the approved plan. But part of what we were discussing internally was adding a landscape berm at the north portion of the site to spoil additional topsoil on site. So what we've done with that, and speaking with PRC, we've gone through, and the updated plans, everything shown in red shows the proposed changes. Most of them are minor, I think what would be considered change order type items for a normal plan, but since we're at this point, we wanted to show you all changes, and we tried to enumerate that in a list there that was submitted to the planning board. You know, things like adding extra concrete pads or additional sidewalk, removing some parking, some light poles, adding an additional hydrant. Again, the LaFroyce and the Calpin team talked internally. There were some revisions to the rear loading dock that instead of it being notched out, basically that whole west wall is continuous, which added square footage. And there was some internal discussions about interior space needs, and the north wall was bumped up a little bit farther north, still within the overall 300,000 square foot that was approved preliminary. So again, we're looking for your input, looking for approval to move forward with this. A stop work order was placed on this project last Friday, and all work stopped since then. And again, part of the things we tried to do with the plan that was submitted, understanding the additional tree clearing and the sensitivities that the town has to that, we've proposed additional landscaping on that berm, and we proposed additional landscaping that wasn't required along the west property line, along that emergency access drive, but proposed a lot more landscaping along there. Since the tree clearing was done, we've been able to reevaluate that and felt that that would be a benefit to this project and to the residents. So with that, we're here and happy to answer questions.
Any estimate on how many trees were accidentally removed?
How much? I don't know how many, and that's a good question as well, because, you know, the history of this project, this area, I think if you look back on aerials, 20 years ago, a lot of that area was cleared and maintenance mowing stopped and brush grew up. I think different interpretations of what's out there. There were some mature trees, but most of that area was, I guess you would consider brush in that north area. You can actually go back in there now and you can see a lot of what remains along that area is brush. It looks even more stark now with all the leaves gone versus when the vegetation is there. But it was about an acre in total of clearing above and beyond what was, I believe, 20 acres approved to be cleared. An additional acre was cleared inadvertently or without prior approval.
Just to give further context, this is a picture from circa 2009. It looks like the trees were cleared sometime prior to 2000 in the area in question. Sometime pickton trees have a little gap in their, dates on when they actually went out there and took pictures. Sometime around 2015 is when whoever was maintaining this before stopped maintaining it. So the growth has been in that area since 2015. The mature trees that are shown here were all previously approved to come out in the prior approval.
And I think it's important to note too that the buffer in its entirety was not removed. There's still between 100 and 150 feet of treed buffer from where it was cleared to where the trees end along Publishers. And there's no intent to take any more trees out farther than taken out.
So approximately how many acres?
About an extra acre of tree clearing beyond what was approved occurred.
See, because I don't know if anybody's called your office, but I'm sure if you ask Josh or Erica how many calls they received.
If you drive by the site,
And
even
people
per
call
the
and
approved clearing, I think it's
people-
pretty startling when you drive. It's
Well-
a big site with a lot of clearing that was approved by this board. I would say 95% of what was done was per the approved plan. The additional back along the north end,
It's that extra 15%. You know what, I'm perfectly honest, I'm disappointed. I mean, God, we worked with you guys. I mean, you're
No.
local people and everything else, and I feel like we got slapped in the face. That's my opinion.
It was no intention to be any sort of bait and switch.
How could you, one of the documents I read, you said there was a miscalculation on a cut and fill of like 10,000 yards.
I wouldn't
How
say
the
it's a
hell can you mess up that much?
It's not a miscalculation. We get
Well, that's
geotech,
what I
and the actual field conditions can vary greatly. Even what the geotech determines as topsoil, when they get out there, they can find soil that would be considered unusable for structural fill and needs to be removed. So it's a large site, and it was never our intention to play games
But
with
it was
the
all
board.
calculated. Then what were you gonna do with the dirt?
Initially, the goal, so the history of the project, we knew we had topsoil that had to be dealt with. Then initially, there were conversations between McAlpin and the town about future use of that property to the north. The initial plan was to truck it all off-site. 30,000 yards was our initial estimate.
So you had a big expense of doing this. So by
Yeah.
saying we're gonna make a berm, we're gonna make everybody happy and build a berm, but we're gonna save $150,000.
Right, I'm not
See,
saying
that's-
right, we're not
If you
trying to.
showed that in the beginning, probably wouldn't have been so bad.
Well, the reason we didn't do that in the beginning is because part of this whole approval and what we were doing with the town was reserving a certain area for a potential town use. So that we would have put a berm there if that conversation was never out in the open. We tried to reserve that area to the north to be untouched, that it could be sold, donated in the future. And when it turned out those conversations weren't going anywhere, and then yes, when we did get costs back on what that would be, it was discussed internally, and it was never our intent to do that without coming back to this board and getting that approval. I will take the blame that there was miscommunication in my office in terms of which file should have been used for that. But it was never our intent to do this and try and pull a fast one on you.
Well, again, needless to say, I'm really disappointed. I mean, just the people complaining. You know, it's like, how do you say, well, they messed up, they did this, or they did that, well, it wasn't that much. They don't want to hear that.
In all fairness, I think there would have been a lot of complaints if everything was done 100% per plan. I think, even driving down 104, it's a visible site, and I think people see it and they take note of it. And I take blame for the mistake that happened.
I don't know, what do you folks think? I don't know.
I'm just gonna
Go
say,
ahead,
one
I'm sorry,
thing that
Jim.
I noticed, after we got our approval, it was discussed that an access point to publishers had to be put back in. If you recall, that was something everybody here was against. But after the fire marshal reviewed it, he said a fire lane needed to be added, and so we put in the northwest portion of the site, and everyone thought that was the best location for it. After that was cut in, that opened up, there's a huge line of sight now. And as soon as we did that, we started talking internally, hey, I think there's something we can do better here. And that's when the discussion started about, hey, what else can we do to add some more trees to the site?
Yeah, but before you guys have that discussion, did you think about coming to the board and having that discussion?
No, it was totally.
With the planning board first?
Yes, and I
mean,
again, not trying to make
From
excuses.
a legal aspect, it would have been smarter when you had a discussion about changing the site to come back to the planning board and
Yes.
saying,
And
hey, we need to change it.
Yes, and I agree. And when this mistake had happened, we had not finalized the changes, and our goal was to try and capture all of our proposed changes in one submission back to the town and not piecemeal it. Yes, we did have discussions about what to do with this topsoil. We had prepared a plan internally for discussion, and we all knew that plan was not approved to be done. And unfortunately, the wrong plan was used when the stakeout for the clearing was done. But again, we were trying to come back to the town with everything we did submit, and be above board with it. And that was our plan, probably within the week or two after, the clearing had happened. It was our intention to be in front of this board. If it wasn't this meeting, it would have been later next month.
So the question remains, what do we do as a board? It's already happened. I mean, we can't go out and plant 5-foot trees and expect them to grow overnight.
Well, right, and we understand that, and we have proposed, I think, initial plantings, the initial caliber trees to be a little bit larger. We are proposing, I don't know the exact number, I think a large amount of deciduous coniferous trees to be put back. We can't undo what happened, but we can certainly try and fix and make it so that it's at least down the road, not as big of a burden.
Anybody, any?
I don't know how the rest of
Thoughts?
you feel. I mean, you know, mistakes happen. I mean, what can we do to rectify it?
If you plant these, this is all planting, what happens with this berming stuff now?
I'm sorry,
I think this is, a mistake was made, and here's a solution to fix a mistake.
What's that, I'm sorry?
A mistake was made in the field for clearing, and this is the solution to fix it. It's essentially putting trees back in on
correct.
a pile of dirt.
I guess the question Tony wants to know is what about the berm that currently is there? Is that?
There's no berm there now.
There's no berm.
There's
there.
no berm, nope.
So where would the berm be now?
The berm would be just north of the pond, and we've, again, worked with the forest team and minimized the amount of excess topsoil we're gonna have. And if you look at the grading plan, we tried to make an undulating, attractive landscape berm, not just a big mound.
Josh,
that'll
could
be
you go to
planted.
6, page 6? Keep going up. So see those lines, Tony, that are like, that's the berm.
And it varies in
So-
height. I think some areas, when compared to the existing grade, is 12 or 13 feet high. In other areas, it's about 6 feet high. So again, we tried not to make just a big mountain, but something in addition with the landscaping and the additional meadow mix planting, trying to put it back as close as we can to what it was.
I have to agree with Derek. I mean, a mistake was made. We're trying to rectify that mistake. Yes, we're upset about the way it happened, but there's no way, unless you have a time machine in your basement, that you're going to be able to go back and to rectify this.
And in hindsight, if we could, if, you know, that whole conversation about that Northland, you know, wasn't there, this would have been our proposed plan to begin with.
Can I just ask a question? If you don't mind? I know that there were potential plans for the future for this site, if not with the town, but with McAlpin Industries for other visions that they had down the road. How does the placement of this berm and replanting affect those future plans for this northern end of the site?
Yeah, I think what you're alluding to there, Josh, is one of the things that we would love to do someday is to put a trade school in. It seems like there's a great opportunity there, especially with the high school there, you know, to build up the manufacturing trade here in Western New York. That could be a potential location. It could be potentially within the Phase 3 portion of our project. That's undetermined at this time. All we know right now is that is not a piece of the property that is needed right now, and our preference is not to invest any further in it at this point.
So, I don't know, I'm really more of a legal, but just to understand this, where we see red, that's the existing berm, but that was all flat?
No, the berm has not been, we're proposing to build berm.
Yeah,
Nothing-
Okay,
the
so
grade
that's
has
not,
been
it's
changed in
flat
there.
right now?
All
Red
that
is,
has
red is
changed-
what they're proposing to put in as part of their
Right, the only
current
thing that has
proposal.
occurred that is not per the approved plan to this point is the clearing of the trees.
So, one of the things to me is that this additional clearing, it's outside of the seeker limits, what was under the EAF. So you're outside the LOD and you're clearing. So are you reproposing a revision to the EAF that you're gonna be submitting?
We could, if this board feels that it's enough of a change to have to redo seeker. I think it would be in the character that it's not a drastic change from above and beyond what was approved. I will say that the stormwater permit was submitted, not for this in general, but with, I believe, 22 acres of disturbance, just to provide the team with additional buffer if anything were to change. So from a stormwater perspective, this change is captured. But yeah, Drazen, from a seeker standpoint, I don't believe that additional acre was accounted for on seeker. I don't know from a legal perspective if that requires re-review by this board.
Well, I think the question is just the clearing, the tree clearing component of it. And I know that you're replanting. I like the replanting. I'm not a fan of the berm. I don't understand why you can't pull in your parking lot and your buyer retention if you're reducing your building footprint and reallocate this berm, you know, to the south area and then provide the vegetation.
Phase 3 is about, I think, 25, 30 feet from that parking lot. So there really wasn't a whole lot of room to be gained by shifting everything south. We've looked at a bunch of different options, and again,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the dirt had to go somewhere, so there was an expense accounted by McAlpin to export it. So, in our opinion, the remediation of the clearing is what needs to be addressed, whether it's replanting. The export of the dirt is something that, I think it's a separate matter, like,
If it's a small constellation, I know it maybe looked at it that way. When we were out there looking at the utilities running out to publishers, it shows more clearing along the east property line behind Mearshow that still needs to be done. We stopped that clearing. In this revised plan, we shifted some of the utilities that are supposed to go through that area to the west a little bit to try to maintain a little bit more tree buffer than, you know, there's about 15 feet roughly there that was supposed to be cleared that we have not cleared yet, but we think we can maintain that.
Does that berm, does that impede the flow of any water going over to that sediment basin you have there?
no, everything was continuing to drain north there, and
Around
basically
it?
the top of the berm will drain back in the pond, and everything else will drain back to the north as it is today.
All right, what are we doing?
Well, as I said again, they made a mistake, they're trying to fix it. I mean, we can accept their apology and move on, or we can
Well,
put this project on hold until they, plant the trees in the area that we want them to.
They show revegetating that area that was disturbed. But the berm, that's a major change on the drawings. What do you guys want to do? Tell me. We'll move on this. Derek, what do you think?
I don't have a problem with
I
this
don't have a
approach.
problem. I
You
mean, they're
okay with
leaving
it?
trees on the side of Mirror Show, so.
You okay with it?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
okay with
David?
it. I'm okay with it.
All right. All right, and somebody want to make a motion? One of you guys want to make a motion to?
so
And then you-
just
you
want
had
to
a
check,
few-
we should have
I'm sorry.
revised EAF submitted because this is
Yeah.
a different LOD.
I agree with
That
you.
limited disturbance needs to be accounted for.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be further clearance happening on the vegetation from what has occurred already.
Jasmine, why don't you go ahead and make a motion for
Oh,
this
boy.
thing?
I'm not good at that.
All right, just- You're on the board. Go ahead, you can wing it. You'd rather not?
Rather
Okay.
not, no.
Peggy, you want to make a motion?
No.
Jeez, what a line of points we got up here.
Just say motion for acceptance of the site modification
Yeah.
as presented.
That's all it is, really. Now, I
There's-
think
there's
there were
your
a couple of
motion.
other items.
You just made the motion.
I
That
just made
was
the
the
motion.
And I'll
Wasn't there-
second it.
Wasn't there a couple of other
Jonathan
things?
had a couple things he wanted to add.
Wait a minute, hold on a minute. Wasn't there a couple of other things that
I don't believe so.
pertain to this? There were modifications you had in
There
here?
are, yes, and that was submitted in the letter of intent. that we
Okay,
sent.
I don't remember what they were. I remember seeing them, but I don't recall
Yeah,
what they were.
in red on the plan, added a sidewalk from the north face of the building out, added a bump out truck turnaround in the future loading dock area. On the west side, the loading dock was recessed into the building, now the whole west face will be uniform.
Okay.
What's that?
The office space.
Oh, yeah, and then a little bit of office space on the north side was needed, so that the north wall was bumped up slightly.
Okay,
And then again, reevaluated with McAlpin, there were more parking spaces than needed, so pulled back a few. There were light poles that on phase 1, where there was never supposed to be a building proposed. Once the phase 2 building was added, they're all wall packs, so a couple light poles along the west property line. weren't needed. We added an extra hydrant. It was never captured during the previous review process along the back of the building. So an extra, I believe, 500 feet of water main and an extra hydrant along the west side of the building will be put in to provide additional fire suppression. And again, you know, we're, in the plan that we submitted, we've shown all changes. Again, most of these changes, minor, would have been probably handled, you know, through town staff as a change order. But we wanted to get everything in front of you, and, you know, it's certainly not our intent to make any changes going forward, but if anything comes up during construction, we'll certainly notify town staff.
Okay, so you'll have to modify the drawings to show all this stuff.
And we did, yeah, that was what was
All right.
submitted, yep. And
All
again,
right.
most of this is still on, you know, 100% per the approved plan.
Yeah. New EAF, right, yeah. All right, Derek, I'm sorry, did you made a motion?
Yes,
Derek
you
made a
did.
You
motion.
did make a motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
motion to accept the modifications as presented and enumerated in their letter dated November 6th, 2025.
With, including additional landscaping proposal,
That's all listed
All
in
in
here.
right? Okay. All right, we have a motion, need a second.
Second.
Need a second? I'm gonna call the roll, maybe. Oh, and you also want to have a new EAF made, right?
Right, I got it.
Got it, okay.
Okay, Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Giardina,
Aye.
Mr. Malta,
Aye.
Mr. Kosel,
Aye.
Mr. Gassick,
No.
no. Okay, and Mrs. Maltman.
Aye.
And Mr. Kashani.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guess we're set.
Sorry, the stop work order that was issued, will that now be lifted?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The stop
There
work
should be a
order.
motion to lift the stop order.
Oh, I would guess so, yeah, sure.
Do you want us to have a motion on that, or? do you-
No.
No, that's all internal, that's through them.
Will that be lifted, or will that?
Yes.
Okay.
We
Appreciate
just
it.
wanted to make sure that the board was comfortable with the changes.
Thank you. I apologize again, and wasn't our intent to.
Okay,
Appreciate it, guys.
we hear you.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, we got September 2nd meeting minutes that need to be approved. I'll make a motion to approve the September 2nd meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yeah, close the meeting.
Okay, I guess with that, we're all set for this evening. Thanks for coming in.